like to welcome everybody to the Major Music Lounge podcast, joined by my good friend D Skillz. What's good, my brother?
All is well. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the look. I'm D Skillz Harris, aka Skills Mega from DBL, Down by Law, Hip Hop Collective, mainly out of Baltimore, Maryland, but we got members in New York also.
Okay, yeah, man. Definitely a pleasure to have you on the Major Music Lounge podcast. And also I do appreciate you, reaching out to me a couple of weeks ago, man. Just it's been crazy on my end, as we talk about getting over COVID and man, on my end, just dropping some music projects and just trying to
Word.
promote, man. So it's kind of been a busy couple of weeks for me, but definitely glad to have you on, to have this conversation. So you talked about, you're from Baltimore, man. How long have you been doing beats for?
I've probably been making beats. So I started like rhyming first, but just battling. I didn't take it like serious. I didn't take none of this music serious till 2016. But I've probably been producing since like 2012, 2013. But now
Okay.
like I'm more so like more into it now as opposed to back then. Like I was making beats, but I wasn't like really trying to perfect the craft. You get what I'm saying? Like I was just
Yeah.
putting things together, trying things out. Now I really know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're a rhymer too and a producer?
Yes, mainly an MC, but I also produce. I produce for
Okay.
myself, produce for other people too.
So yeah, man, we definitely have that in common. And you just said like the rhyming came first for you.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
yeah, it was just kind of the opposite for me. Like when I actually started making beats first, and then happened to really start hanging around a lot more people that were actually rappers. And that's kind of what influenced me to start rhyming myself. Um,
Exactly.
who were some of your influences as far as a rapper? We'll kind of start there.
Um, I fell in love with hip hop the first time. I had to be like 6, 7, something like that. I was watching Rap City and they played, it was a throwback Thursday, so they played the video for One Love by Nas. And it was just so like riveting and captivating. Like it just that's what made me fall in love with hip hop, that song right there. But
Man,
so Nas, um, Doom, De La, Course 50. I learned how to make hooks listening to 50. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I would be up here talking all day about my influences. KRS, especially as somebody who raps and produces, you feel me? Like KRS, um, Diamond D, Lord Finesse. Like I was a big Digging in the Crates fan, you feel me? As far
yeah,
as like battling and stuff like that, like I like to do punchlines. Like punchlines are my main thing, but I like that's something that I like to throw in there sometimes. Like Big L was like the king of the punchlines, you feel me?
yeah.
So like Redman, um, the list is just it's a long list of different influences.
Man,
Ice Cube too. Ice Cube
oh
definitely like
yeah, oh
his
yeah.
first three solo albums are crazy.
Man, he's still doing it up too, man. Like you said, an earful there, man. I mean, Nas for one, it kind of brings me back to like my high school years because I listened to Nas like religiously back then, particularly like at that time. Well, it was a little bit before I started high school, but that's when Illmatic came out, and then
Okay.
I Am came out, and then Nostradamus, and then just so on and so
Yeah.
forth. And
Hmm.
man, I've been a big Nas fan since around then, and he's really been, I would say, in the last couple of years, him and Hitbar have been really putting out some dope records, and I think they got something else in the work, if not maybe even two of them. I think
I think they have like three albums together
three,
now, right? Because it's
yeah,
King's Disease one and
one and
two, and then
two.
the last one that he did.
Yeah, and then they got three, King's Disease 3
Oh,
coming.
word, that's coming up.
And then I think they're working on EP. Like it could either be right before or after, but I think it's maybe it might be before just to kind of help promote King's Disease 3. So, we're gonna see about that. I think they said probably by summer or fall this year. And
Right.
then yeah, speaking, KRS One for that. Um Ice Cube, man, I catch myself going back, listening to like Death Certificate, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
War and Peace. That was one of my favorite albums right there. Volume 1 and Volume 2. And yeah, it's a lot of influences that, well, they also influenced me, also being from the South. So, I can definitely relate to you in that form. As far as a producer, who were some of your influences?
Jay Dilla is the GOAT to me.
Yeah,
So I would say Jay Dilla, RZA, Premier, Pete Rock, man, Alchemist. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like Havoc. I think Havoc is underrated. He produced a lot of
Oh
Mobb
yeah,
Deep stuff. Like
yeah, man.
trying to think, man. High Tech, the dude who
I
produced the
tell,
Black Star album.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that's it really. Like RZA and Jay Dilla. Like
I could tell, just listening to a lot of your music, like from all the influences you said as an artist as well as a producer, I could kind of tell from your sound, and then what you say, it matches up, man. Definitely matches up. And I really dig your sound a lot.
thank
It
you.
kind of takes me back, no problem. It kind of takes me back to that golden era of hip hop. And it's kind of ironic, almost every guest I have on the show, Alchemist comes up as a name, and Jay Dilla for that matter. And then your premiere. But I would say almost every guest has said Alchemist. And that's another one, really. Like, you talk about all the work he's did, like with Jada Kiss back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's done a lot of work with Currency. And then I
Mobb
can't
Deep,
forget Mob Deep and that classic, what, 2 years ago, a year ago with
the one he did
Freddie
with Freddie
Gibbs.
Gibbs,
Yeah, that's a
Alfredo.
classic.
Yeah.
Man.
One person I forgot to mention, especially because they do beats and rhymes, like MF Doom.
Yeah.
Doom is a big influence on me, and also like for bars, like lyricism, Sean Price. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
I was Sean Price definitely is one of my favorite like top 10 rappers.
Yeah, man. I could definitely agree with that. What are you using to do your beats on?
Oh, so I use FL. I mainly use FL. Like I might take a sample in a garage band and then try to chop it in there, but I usually just chop in FL. I mainly use FL.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of the guests as well. Yeah, I hear a lot of things. FL, me personally, like I'll go in between like Machine Logic, and then when I'm on the iPad, Beatmaker 3. But whatever program it is, man, just make it work. That's what I always like to
Yeah,
say.
definitely.
Yeah, what's your thought? In fact, like, there's these DAW wars, I guess, that a lot. It's not so much relevant as it is, right now compared to years ago. But the producers would have this war. Oh, this DAW is better, that DAW is better. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna have somebody like a consumer
Right.
on the radio.
Like the
Oh, I
consumer
like that
isn't like,
song.
oh, that's
Yeah, because
better because it was made on Logic, or that's
yeah,
better because it was made on Reason. My thing is like this, right? And I've used the MPC before, but like my group mates Davon and Chili Mad, they have like MPCs and like SP44 stuff like that. I think that the machines are fine, but the main thing that you have to have is the ear. If you don't
yeah,
have the ear, it doesn't matter what DAW you're using. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? You
yeah,
first and foremost have the ear, have to have the ear.
yeah. It's that's kind of what I always say. Have the ear, and then I'm at a point like, I've been producing since '06. So
Word, okay.
I originally started out on like Logic Pro 8 at the time, and then it was Reason 3. And then from there I moved on to Machine, and then kind of got into like this iPad production thing probably around 2015. But I would still say at the end of the day, like, if you have to leave me with one DAW to create my beats on, I would probably say like Machine is my own personal, um I would say, main DAW, only because I have so much invested in it, like all the
Mm-hmm.
expansions probably over the last 8-9 years or so, maybe even longer. And then I got a lot of other native instruments like hardware and plugins
Right.
there in the lab that I like to use as well. So that's probably what I would say. But I also, kind of like I was saying earlier, I always encourage up and coming producers to, find you one DAW that you like. It doesn't matter what DAW it is. If you have like a lot of friends that or a few different friends that use different programs or apps to make beats, go hang out with them, see what that workflow is like. And before you invest in something, that way you have an idea of what you might like versus what you don't, and then you could find a DAW that way, because this stuff, it costs, it costs to
It
invest in it.
definitely does, right? Yeah.
And then later down the line, once you kind of feel comfortable with one DAW and you feel like you want to move on to something else, then at that point in time, then go ahead, but don't stretch yourself thin trying to show off, because I got this DAW, I got that DAW. It's no point in, like you said, a consumer can't tell what beat.
Right, exactly. They're interested in the end product. You feel me? Not the stems and this sounds better quantized than that. They're not thinking about it.
Man. So let's see. I'm just looking here over that bio that you had sent me. So Down by Law, it's a hip hop collective. When did that start? Like, how long have you been with them? Just since the start of you creating music, or was this kind of
Yeah,
recently?
pretty much since the start of me creating music. Like the majority of us, we went to school together, whether it be high school or college, and it was like, okay, like we all, we're all friends here. But then it's like, all right, we all make music. Okay, it's power in numbers. We might as well band together, put the minds together, see what we can come up with.
Yeah, and how long has that been again? Like since?
So I would say that the original form of DVL started in, let's say, 2013, right?
Okay.
But as far as us like making music and like getting into full swing, like there's a lot of trial and error. So really, like our first group album, Rappers Are in Danger, which we remade the Midnight Marauders cover, I would say that came out about a year or two ago. So as far as us being a legitimate like hip hop group in the DMV scene, I would say around like 2018, 2019. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, mad respect, man.
Thank you.
Because number one, I've done group things before, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And it's whether it's creative differences or people just kind of wanting to go in different directions, whatever that looks like. And that's not always easy. As far as, how do you think like you guys all complement each other as far as like what each member is bringing up to the table?
Okay, so we have multiple members that rap and produce. Some of us rap, produce, and sing, but it's more like, all right, we all take this serious, so we're all making each other better. Nobody wants to have a whack verse, and we're not trying to outdo each other. We're trying to make the best music possible. But with that being said, the fact that there's so many serious MCs in one collective, you got no choice but to get your stuff together, or otherwise, you don't want to be the person where your verse gets skipped or you get taken off of a song or something like that. So it's like, you got to put your best foot forward every time. You know what I'm saying? But like for example, we got a member in our group, Black Chakra. Like he's one of the top male poets in the country. You feel me? So the fact that he's taken that poetry pen, which is nasty, then you have the rap pen, and now they're like together basically. So you got to rap with somebody like that on a daily basis. Like you feel me? You're like forcing yourself to get to a certain point, and it's like it just shows itself. And the fact that we're all friends outside of music, it just works well on the track. So you can tell like we have real chemistry. You feel me? It's like a basketball situation.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's what I would compare it to. I would compare it to like a basketball team. Like if I had to pick one, we'd probably be like the Showtime Lakers or something.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
not a Lakers fan, no, I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm just
All
saying,
right,
like,
man. I feel your pain. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm a Pistons fan, but
right, okay.
at least y'all got to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
A little bit more recent than us. But I
No, it's
mean,
all good. Y'all future is looking really good with Cade,
yeah,
you know?
man. I like Kate, man. And we're gonna probably have a top 7 pick.
Yeah.
They're gonna talk
Y'all got
about
my
that.
boy Hamidou Diallo.
Oh yeah. I like
Yeah.
Jaime too. Yeah. Yeah.
Queens.
Man,
Definitely.
yeah, man. Ironically, like I watched a lot of Jaime at Kentucky. 'Cause
Word.
I like watching Kentucky basketball too.
Yeah,
You
me
stay
too. I've
pro,
been a
man.
fan since John Wallner.
Oh man, we got that in common. I don't meet that
Yeah.
many people. All right, man. Yeah, I know I'm gonna like you. I know we gel together.
Right there,
All
man.
right, man.
Big Blue Nation.
Big Blue Nation.
Huh?
I was upset though of the tournament this year.
Oh, yeah.
Got
It
bounced
was,
in the first
I
round.
think that it was a lot of dancing going on, and when you win, you can dance. But I just think that with this era, with this generation of players, there's not really a certain level of like professionalism. And I think that they were kind of like distracted. You get what I'm saying? Because playing at Kentucky, like, not to compare it to Duke, but Kentucky kind of is like the new Duke, if that makes any sense. Like back in the day, right? You had like Duhon, JJ Redick,
Oh man.
Luau Deng, you feel me? Like you had this long, the Plumlee brothers, like you had this
Yeah.
long string of NBA players coming straight from Duke. And now it's like Kentucky is sending 3, 4 every year. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like the roles kind of reversed in that situation. So it's like, and I don't blame Calipari because Calipari, like, yes, we want national titles, but his main job is to get them prepared for life. Like he's coaching them for two different things: to win games and to be able to make it outside of basketball. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some people don't like that he's like a player first coach, but I don't mind. Like he has a championship. You feel
Yeah.
me? Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. My thing with him is in big games, his adjustments in the second half. Like I think late in games, I mean, I can go back to this year's game. I can go back to what was it, 2015 with that squad that went undefeated and
Right, exactly. And then we
yeah,
lost to Wisconsin.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I just thought like, down the stretch of that game, why was Devin Booker and why was Carl Towns sitting on the bench?
The thing is that he is a good coach with the X's and O's, but he's really a great recruiter. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah.
even before he was with us, he had got like
Oh
Tyreek,
yeah, everywhere he's
Derrick
been.
Rose.
Yeah,
Way back in the day, he got Candy. You feel me? So
Camby, yeah,
he's a great recruiter, more so than he is a great coach. Not to
yeah,
diminish his coaching skills, but I get what you're saying. I
yeah,
fully, yeah.
man. So back to the production, man. What type of projects do you have? Anything like recently you released or like something coming
So
up?
I produced the tape for Baltimore rapper Lil Webb, Fear and Loathing, and Birdie Wood. This is the second tape that I fully produced for him. The first one was called BBB Class Con. So that one came out. The last one came out like a week ago. Right now, Chili Mad and I, we're about to finish and release the next episode too, which is mainly produced by him. I produced probably 2 cuts on it. This year, I've already released. They Still Need Food, which is like a Doom tribute type of album. It's like my version of Food. You feel me?
Yeah,
So that was like very important to me. As far as that goes, myself and Black Chakra, we're working on Liberated Scarfaces. This is like our purple tape. You know what I mean? I only built for Cuban links, but instead of Incarcerated Scarfaces, it's called Liberated Scarfaces. And I'm just producing like Knowledge Born, another group mate of mine.
yeah,
He's got a project coming out called Street Knowledge, and I'm doing the majority of the production on that. I rap probably 2 times on that project as well, but I'm mainly doing the production. So right now, like, oh, me and J Powell Music. J Powell, he's a producer and rapper from New York. He's in Cali now, but he's originally from New York. We've got a project coming out. It's called Sketches of Pain. I'm a big jazz fan, and so is he. So we decided to name our album after Miles Davis' Sketches of Spain, but instead of Sketches of Spain, it's called Sketches of Pain. And then I
okay,
got another collab album with Bright Individual. He's an MC slash producer out of Connecticut. So I got it's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, like,
man. Word up, man. That's amazing. For one, because also being a producer and an artist is not easy, bouncing back between, the two.
quite different projects. Yeah.
Yeah, because me, in fact, like just recently, shout out to Rook One, producer Rook One out of Chicago.
Word.
But we dropped an album about not even a month ago. And this was my first time like doing an album where somebody else completely produced it outside of me.
Word,
And
okay.
I had to kind of like, it was different for me from the standpoint of I had to kind of dial in and focus on being an artist for, you know, a certain period of
Exactly.
time. And like I was still doing beats behind the scenes, but like um my main goal was, you know, I was just trying to write as much as I can. And I'm just kind of now getting back into the mindset of producing because I've done, you know, on the other side of the spectrum, but I've done a couple of EPs with some guys before as well, just solely producing all the tracks for them. How is it, you know, with yourself managing being an artist and a producer? Like, how do you manage to do that on a day-to-day basis?
I think that it just comes naturally to me. Like another person that is a big influence to me is like Eric Sermon. You feel me? And he's one of the first people I think of when you talk about like producer rappers. But I wouldn't consider myself to be a producer rapper. I'm an MC first and then a producer. But you get what I'm saying. But
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
as far as doing both, it just comes naturally because I've been doing it for so long. But I feel like it takes, I don't know, it takes, so I would say that writing rhymes, you're not going to always feel in the mood to put words down.
yeah.
But as far as making a beat go, it's like, all right, like it takes, you have to listen, like, especially if you're sampling, you have to find the right sample. You got to pitch your
Right, Bob.
sample, everything like that. You got to find the vibe and everything like that. But there's a certain peace in that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whereas writing, like, not to say that writing would be war as opposed to peace, but like it's it's like calming for me to make a beat more so than rhyming is. You get what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
when I'm rhyming, it takes more thought to me to construct a meaningful rhyme than it does to make meaningful like a meaningful track for that rhyme to go over. So making a beat is like, okay, I don't have to talk, I don't have to think about my delivery, my flow, I don't have to think
yeah,
about the cadence, I don't have to think about, okay, should I do a multi-head, should I do a double introd, should I do some alliteration? And you don't have to worry about that with a beat.
yeah.
So I find it not easier to make a beat, but I find it less, I don't know, it doesn't feel as time consuming as writing does.
Yeah, I totally agree because like I feel like not to say I don't have fun writing because I do, but making a beat, like see if I'm rhyming and you're right, I might go through one time and I might listen to something I recorded and I ain't vibing with it. And I go back and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should change these words around type thing.
Exactly, because the thing is, you can't just throw a rhyme on a record, right? It
Yeah,
has to fit the vibe of the record. Like, if it has a topic, you want to stay on topic. Like, and just because you write a verse, you can write a fire 16, but it might not go with that song, or it might
yeah,
go better with another song. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's like, and then the thing about it is, if I write something, I'm probably in the mood to also record it, but you have to have the energy to like go and record that. So it's like, all right, I just spent this time writing this 16. Now it's like I gotta record it, but you're not gonna always feel like recording it. But some people, if you don't record it right then and there, you might lose certain aspects of the flow. You get what I'm saying? And you can refine it, but you would rather not have to go through that. So it's like I try my best to write every day. And if I'm not writing, then I'm probably reading. You feel me?
yeah,
But it's just like I might write a lot, but that doesn't mean I always am in the mood to go record that. I'm never
yeah,
not in the mood to make a beat. I can make a beat, that's all right. I'll either rap on it or somebody else, or I'll put it in the stash. It may not be the perfect time for that beat. You get
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
So that's my take on it, man.
That's the biggest thing, because I find like with beats, there could be a beat I made a couple years ago, and then all of a sudden I think of these 12 or 16 bars, and I'm like, you know, that's it, fits with that. And then
Right,
there's been other times where, you know, just out of the blue, I'm just sitting on the couch watching a game or something,
right.
and I think of this verse. I write the verse, and then next thing you know, I'm building the beat around the verse. So it's like, to me, that's like, it's almost like that was meant to happen type of thing. Cause it just kind of all comes together. And like I don't ever like I may set a goal of like, okay, I want to do an album in 3 months or 6 months or whatever that looks like. And like it gives me the time to like to slowly get the concept together, get the whole vibe together with the album. So, everything as far as like, cause you're right, as far as what do you want to, an album to me is like a bunch of songs that created, it's almost like a book, chapters
Right.
that create the book. And that's kind of how I treat it, as far as like being just something that's kind of like a snapshot of life. And I mean, for me, making beats, that was kind of what I fell in love with first, because just growing up, with some of the producers that you mentioned. And then like Dr. Dre is another one of my favorite producers. And like I feel like no matter what time it is, no matter when, no matter what, like production, it's just I have more fun doing so. But like rhyming is more of that, it's more self-expression. So it's like I may not, I won't sit there and lie. I don't write every day, but when I do, I want to make sure I knock it out the park every time. Now, everything won't be perfect, but sometimes you got to go back and of course make those adjustments.
Yeah.
But I like to, after I write it, record it right then and there, because I also want to capture that vibe you were talking about earlier as well. Aside from like production and rapping, do you do anything else as far as like content creation, maybe on YouTube or even like on your social platforms?
Oh yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, but it's mainly like for like our performances and stuff like that. But we're about to get into vlogging, so
Okay.
that's something to look forward to outside of music. Like I program, you know what I mean? Like so, like coding stuff like that.
Coding?
Yeah.
What you use for coding?
Oh, Xcode.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
language I know is C++.
Okay. Oh man. That's yeah, that's talking to me like high school right there. I remember taking computer science. That was like what,
Word.
20 something years ago though. But and that was the last I touched C++. Now I do a little bit with Swift on the iPad because of work. And in fact, as far as like coding, I had some of the I had the founder of Audio Kit Apps on the iPad.
Word.
He was actually on a podcast, Matthew Fetcher, and he develops a lot of his Audio Kit apps in Swift, and there are several like other apps on iPad that take advantage of it as well. I wish they would bring some of that to the computers, but it's going to be strictly iPad. Um, Man, what other plans you got for the remainder of 2022?
Just getting these videos done for the Liberated Scarface's album. DBL, we're going to make Raid 2, Rappers Are in Danger 2. Just a lot of things in the work. Mystique, that's a female member of the group. She toured with Von Mason and crew for 7 years. She is coming out with her debut album. Just a lot of stuff is in the work. Just dropping more music. We ended off last year on a DMV Low World tour. So we performed in Virginia, DC, ended it at home, which was great. I want to go back to New York. There's a club called The Sampler. It's like a lo-fi type of club. I want to go see what they got going on over there. I performed one time in New York. I performed in Bushwick, the Love Story Bar. It was a
Okay.
really good show. Just traveling, just getting out there, just pushing this music. Like the last one album I forgot to talk about, Requiem for a Quarantine Dream. I dropped that also this year, but like it slipped my mind because it's like non-canon to the other albums. The majority of my other albums are connected like like the next episode 2 is the end of the trilogy. It started with 6 Day Theory, which is the first album that I did with Chili Mad. And then the second one is the next episode 1, and then we're ending it with the next episode 2. Like next episode 1 is my most known album, most talked about album. Like people compare it, especially like bloggers, they compare it to like Mad Villainy, Liquid Swords. You feel me? Like that's definitely the project that I'm probably the most proud of. But like Wrecking for a Quarantine Dream, it slips my mind because it's just like it was that type of album where I did it like it was a lot that I had to say. It's probably like my most personal album, you feel me? Because I was
Yeah,
supposed to drop They Still Need Food before January of this year, but I had to postpone it because I couldn't record because of COVID, you feel me?
yeah,
And it was just like I was frustrated because I couldn't record. Um, Food wasn't tasting right. It was just a whole bunch of stuff going left. And when just beating that, it just put an extra battery in my back, you feel me? But it was like, all
yeah,
right, I need to go ahead and say what I got to say on this before I move further. So it was like, all right, I dropped that album, but that's like non-canon. Like that's outside of like it's still connected to the other albums, but it's like it's out of chronological order, if that makes any sense.
yeah, yeah, man. Uh, shoot, I know what it is with that COVID, man. That ain't no joke, man. So, glad you overcame
Thank
that,
you.
man.
Likewise, man. Same,
Yeah,
same to you.
yeah, appreciate it, man. All the listeners, y'all gotta stay safe out there, man. It ain't gone yet, so you gotta
For real, it's
protect
not.
yourselves out there. Um, One thing I always like to ask, two questions. Uh, the first is, let's say you had three, any three features as a, let's see. Since you're an artist and a producer, you can mix and match these three. Uh, but if you could work with any three combination of artists and producers to it could be like to co-produce an album or a song, or maybe an artist you want for a feature, who would that be?
I would need, I would say Eric Sermon, but I wouldn't need
Ooh,
like newer type of production. I need something that he would have gave like Redman, like or he would have gave Keith Murray, like Def Squad. I need like a 1995 Def Squad type of beat. You feel
yeah,
me? Like
yeah.
I need something like that. And he can rap on it too if he wanted, but I would need definitely Eric Sermon. If Dilla was alive, Dilla, um, that third artist, who would I want to work with? My favorite member of Wu Tang is Ghostface, so I would say
Okay,
Ghostface.
man. So like with go, I've always liked Ghostface, but my favorite member has always been Raekwon.
Okay,
Like after watching that Hulu show, the Wu Tang show, all of a sudden I still love Raekwon, but I think I've gained a little more respect for like Ghostface even more. And
right.
I've always thought he could flow, but like I've started listening to him even more than I used to. So yeah, man, it's kind of ironic you say that one as well. And then I mean Dilla, yeah, yeah, anytime, any place. I would have to definitely put Dilla on my list. Eric Sermon as well, man. Like, um, I just remember, and you talked about Rap City earlier, but I remember like in the '90s how like Eric Sermon was all over Rap City. Like
Mhm.
anytime you watch Rap City, he was either on there with a new video for himself or as a producer in somebody else's video.
Right.
So yeah, man, I love this sound back then. The next question is, for up and coming producers, I always like to ask guests, what type of message would you have for any up and coming producers? Maybe something that you encountered yourself personally coming up in the game, or maybe something that you didn't know that back then that you know now. What if you had one message to up and coming producers, what would that be?
I mean, I would say don't be afraid to be different. Like, I don't listen to the radio a lot. Like, I know what's on it,
Yeah,
but I don't listen to it a lot because I don't want it to influence me. Like, Like, you feel me? Because I don't want to sound like anybody else. Like, if I like, I get compared to, like, I've gotten Royce comparisons, I've gotten Ghostface, I've gotten Doom. Like, as long as they ill, I really the comparison doesn't really matter to me. But my point is that it's okay to be different. Like, and everything isn't for everybody. So just because one person may not want to rhyme on your beat, that doesn't mean that there's not someone who wants to rhyme on it. You just probably hasn't haven't found that person yet. But it's important to be different, to try things, like do your own thing. Like, and of course, it's going to be influences. Hip hop has been around since what, like the 70s with Cool Herc, you feel me? Like, so it's hard to be 100% like, oh, you don't remind me of anybody, but you felt me, because this has been done for so long. But my point is that you don't be afraid to do your own style. Don't be afraid to sample. If you feel like sampling, sample a record. Now, I would say this: change the pitch. You feel me?
Yeah.
You change the pitch, but definitely, if you want to sample, do that. But do whatever you feel like. You're the producer. You're like the composer. You're making the track. So just, don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is, and that's the truth, man. You gotta be different and don't be afraid to be different. And I think like I remember if you go all the way back probably to like '09, 2010, 2011, when trap was kind of like,
Mhm.
the whole game was heavy trap, a lot of people putting out trap beats and things like that.
Right.
People still are, but I caught myself, and at that point in time, I was probably only produced about 3, 4, 5 years, maybe. And me being more of I like kind of that old school hip hop vibe, maybe a little bit of that G Funk West Coast mixed in with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
And like I caught myself trying to do what everybody else was doing at the time. And it wasn't really till later down the line that I really found my sound as far as what type of beats people wanted from me more so. So then I kind of started creating more of that vibe. And then same thing with the rhymes, like um, it's kind of like you gotta keep, and a lot of young up and coming both artists and producers, they expect to get them results right away. And I
Then
think
no.
them first couple of albums, you're kind of trying to, test the waters and see, just like what I was saying earlier, what do people like, what don't they like that you do. And same thing as an artist, like, and this is no knock to anybody that I used to do music with, but I felt like I used to let a lot of other guys influence what I would write and who I was at one time. And I didn't really feel like till a couple of albums in, I had my own kind of identity. And I felt like when I kind of started going in that direction, more and more people started, to me, it felt like more me, who I was,
Right.
instead of writing records that, I didn't feel that that was me. And it just reflected not only in the lyrics but also the beats. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to, have your own identity. And it may take you a while to find your own target audience, but it's a lot of this is trial by error, and you can't give up on it. Just keep going and find out what works for you.
Yeah, I
Uh,
fully agree.
man, where can our listeners find you online at?
So if you have Instagram, you can follow me on, so at D Skillz Harris. So at DSKILLZHARRIS. And you can find my collective at DBL Records 2020. If you can find my music on all major platforms, and I sell my music also on Bandcamp. So
Yeah.
if you don't find it on streaming platforms, like major platforms, you can also find it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, I love Bandcamp.
Yeah, me
A lot of
too.
my guests that have came on have had Bandcamp, and the thing is, uh, Bandcamp is great because if you really want to support a artist or producer, they get pretty much all the profit, on
Mhm.
Bandcamp. And I mean, you could set prices, you can donate,
Right. And
you
then
can
you can
sell
sell more
merch.
than just music, right?
Yep, you can sell
Yep. And
more than music on there. So, you know, artists, if you're looking for distribution, I mean, you got other means of distribution. You know, everybody knows like DistroKids and United Masters, but definitely don't sleep on Bandcamp. It's a great place to, you know, for people to support you. So if they really support hip hop or any of the music that you do, yeah, they'll support you on Bandcamp. You can find me on Instagram at D._major music. And actually, also, I just opened a TikTok, same thing, D._major music, as well as Twitter, D.mme. And, you know, to all the creators out there, music producers that create content, producers that are also sound designers, or if you just like talking about music production, definitely hit me up. Would love to have you on. All artists are also welcome on the show. So again, hit me up. This has been another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast, joined by D Skillz Harris. It's your boy D. Dot, and we're out.